How does the planning cycle go on, right? How do we start the process? We start the planning process by setting objectives. Then we plan strategy. Strategy will ensure that these objectives are in fact achieved. Now we break up strategy into programs. That is, we decide tactics. Tactics follow from strategy. Strategy is long term. Strategy involves the commitment of long-term commitment of resources. Strategy involves taking decisions which will not be reversed in the near future. Tactics, on the other hand, is short term, medium term to short term. Tactics also involves the utilization of resources, but this is resources, much smaller amounts of resources and for much shorter periods of time. The commitment is for a much shorter period of time. Tactics help the implementation of strategy. Implementation is followed by a review of the implementation of the strategy. This review feeds back into objectives because sometimes we may find that objectives need to be revised. Now, following from this planning cycle is the time horizon of planning. There are broadly two kinds of plans. There are long-term plans and short-term plans. Long-term plans involve a significant commitment of resources by the company. For instance, if the company decides to go in for forward integration, that would be a long-term plan. Let's assume a company like HCL, which is a manufacturer of PCs, personal computers. If HCL decides that it is going to enter the retail selling of PCs and decides to set up a large network of electronic shops, then that is a significant long-term commitment of resources, right? Now, this is one example of a long-term plan. Alternatively, you could have a company, let us say like Bharti Airtel. Now, Bharti Airtel has in the last 1 year moved into Africa in a big way. Now, Bharti may decide that it is in the interest of the company's strategic plans to promote the African market, it is in the interest of these plans to hire local talent. But it might find that in many African countries, adequate local talent is not available. So what does it do? It might get into the process of promoting courses of the type that it requires, promoting telecom courses, promoting courses in management at various institutions across Africa, at various institutions in different countries in Africa which require them. Now, this again is a commitment of resources. It's also a commitment of resources which is difficult to alter, because once you have decided on a plan like this, right, as part of your strategy, once you've decided on a long-term plan to promote institutions in Africa, or rather to support institutions in Africa which provide the right kind of or the appropriate kind of human resources, once you've decided on a plan like this, then it becomes very difficult to alter that decision, because based on that decision several other organizations make commitments, commitments of resources and commitments of time, commitments of personnel. Another aspect of long-term plans is that these take a significant period of time to mature, right? Now, long-term plans by their very nature do not see the result coming through unless a fairly long period of time passes by, during which various activities go on, various commitment of resources go on, and the result of this commitment of resources over a significant period of time is the result of the long-term plan. So, a long-term plan involves significant commitment of resources. It's difficult to alter the direction of a long-term plan, and it will take time to mature. That's long-term planning. Now, what about short-term plans, right? Now, short-term plans have a limited purpose. Indeed, sometimes the short-term plans may conflict with the objectives of the long-term plans. However, the company decides to go ahead with the short-term plan for a limited period of time for a specific purpose, right? However, it is important to ensure that there is no fundamental conflict between short-term plans and long-term plans. All short-term plans must ultimately be aligned to the long-term plans. Let's look at a practitioner of management trying to see how long-term thinking and short-term thinking can be integrated.
How do you balance short-term and long-term thinking in what you do?
It's tricky. Short-term thinking has to be very focused and precise. We need to budget for next year exactly what we want those numbers to be. And when we talk about a 5-year plan, there's many more variables. We don't know where the economy will be, which will impact our revenue numbers, for example. So a 5-year plan is like a thought exercise to think about where we want the numbers to go and where we hope the numbers can go in the next 3 to 5 years, while a budget for next year is really precise. Mm-hmm. And for next year, we're going to decide how many teachers are we going to have in each field, in each subject. For 5 years from now, we're going to loosely speculate how many teachers and how many staff members we're going to have. So it's just it's a precision exercise versus a thought exercise.